Welcome to the Momentum Flow podcast, where ideas, innovations, and experiences are shared to create a continuous stream of inspiration and insight. Join me, your host, Luis Solana, a supply chain expert and investor, as I uncover how visionary founders, operators, and leaders are spotting opportunities, sparking innovation, and scaling profitable growth. From plan to cash, I bring real-world experience and an investor's eye to reveal how clarity, capital, and conviction fuel sustainable growth. Tune in and let's keep the momentum flow going. Welcome to the Momentum Flow podcast, where ideas, innovations, and experiences create a continuous stream of inspiration and insight. Join me, your host, Luis Solana, a supply chain expert turned investor, as I uncover how visionary founders, operators, and leaders are spotting opportunities, sparking innovation, and scaling profitable growth. From plan to cash, I bring real-world experience and investor's eye to reveal how clarity, capital, and conviction fuel sustainable growth. Tune in and keep the flow going. Today, I'm honored to welcome Gustavo López Ghory, a global operations and manufacturing leader with more than 37 years of experience. Gustavo served as Chief Supply Chain Officer at Kimberly-Clark and a VP Product Supply Global Manufacturer at Procter Gamble, leading some of the world's most complex production networks and shaping the next generation of operational excellence. In 2018, Gustavo extended his corporate leadership to entrepreneurship, co-founding a Swiss technology startup focused on enabling manufacturers to unlock value through an operational value intelligence platform, bringing digital twins, robotics, automation, and real-time factory intelligence into practical use on the shop floor. He remains the chairman of SmarterChains. Gustavo, welcome to the Momentum Flow.
Thanks so much, Luis, for this kind invitation. I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. So for the audience, I'm going to structure this conversation a little bit in four different sections, just to provide some structure to the dialogue. First, we're going to go a little bit through the leadership background of Gustavo, his operating journey across P&G and Kimberly-Clark, what shaped his philosophy, and how manufacturing has evolved over time. From there, we're going to go a little deeper into smart manufacturing, digital twins, robotics, AI, a little deep dive into what is real, what is Skype, what's accelerating, what still holds companies back, and where value is created. Then we're going to go into more the side of his entrepreneurship as a founder journey, why he left the top global role to build a new manufacturing technology, and how this technology solves persistent gaps across operations technology, Internet of Things, decision making. And last but not least, we'll hear Gustavo's remarks on the future and advice for operators, founders, and investors, signals shaping the next decade, the evolving workforce, and practical guidance for leadership. So we're going to keep this a casual conversation. And Gustavo, let me just start by your journey, your career, right? You've led global operations at P&G and Kimberly, big companies. What were the defining lessons that shaped your leadership philosophy, and what's your view of operational excellence?
Yeah, what an interesting question, by the way. That because it makes me reflect about the many years of experience and the ups and downs that happens in a long career in corporate organizations. I was a lucky man in all my career, where I had people trusting me to give me certain responsibilities, and this trust, I never say no to it, and I went for it. And so it was one of the things that I did along the way. But importantly, when I think back, what are the things that really built, and what is the philosophy I come up with after all these experiences? Global experiences, regional experiences, category work, innovation, planning, manufacturing, supply chain management, you name it, okay, across the globe. And those experiences have given me four critical things that I would say are the elements that compose my philosophy of how do I run the business, how do I operate. One is the incredible need to understand that supply chain management and operations and manufacturing are technical organizations. And as such, we need to be masters on what we do. So if you are leading a supply chain operation or any operation in general, you need to understand the technology behind it. What are we doing? And why the transformation is like that? Why we operate it this way? Why we set up the operation in a given situation or in a given circumstance? Second, but it's even more important than the first, is we need to also be masters of our business. So one of the things that we need to understand is what is the business model we are supporting, and connect that business model with the capabilities and levers that you have in your responsibility, in your function, in your technical mastery abilities, to connect with that business needs and exacerbate the delivery and accelerate the delivery of that business need. So technical mastery, one, understanding what you're doing, but understand the business you serve and how you connect the two of them. So what are the things that you manage, that if you manage well and you leverage for the improvements of the business, are the ones that become your priority goals. The third thing is about the people you manage. And in my philosophy, I cannot operate without people. Okay, so and we're going to talk today about AI. We will talk about lights off operations and things like that. I have a point of view there, which is in the area of elevating the technology, but use the technology to enable the people that you are is in your organization. That I think is the most important learning. Our people, manufacturing, operations, supply chain management is a people system. I know we use technology. I know we have systems and procedures and all of that. And I know we need to have technology choices that make sense for the operation. But without the people, we are at lost. So to me, that's the most essential of everything. The 4 philosophy points that I'm talking about, I believe people is number one. The last one, which is not necessarily the last one in order, it is yourself. Work on your leadership abilities. Be every day more authentic. And authenticity is not know how to do things or say the right things at the right moment. Authenticity is discovering your strengths, your opportunities. Work on those opportunities and exacerbate the strength in a way that people can even predict you, and that you can really contribute to the growth of your business. So again, people, technical mastery, business mastery, and authenticity are the 4 elements that I have derived from my career.
What a very rich insight that you provide. Leading with people is always very important, and I like the way you think, Gustavo. Thanks for sharing. That's very rich. So, I think that sets a good framework of, a little bit of who you are, how you think. So let's deep dive a little bit into more the manufacturing side, which is the bulk of your career. When you think about digital twins, they're widely discussed. The real value sometimes is debated and varies. Where have you seen digital twins delivering a true tangible ROI? And where companies are just stuck in pilots, trying to do something, but they're really not progressing. They're just saying that they're doing digital twins.
Well, digital twins and many other technologies that are available today are in the same situation. In the industry, there is a lot of this non-stop learning process via pilots. And we pilot here, we pilot there. And the truth of the matter is that we get paralyzed with so much piloting, and we don't really act. So in the case specifically of digital twins, is a great tool if it really is a choice of is a real choice for the business scenario that I described before. If that is a technology that will help you to drive the business case or the business model you are supporting in your operation, then it's a good choice for your operation. And it's already been proven. You don't need to pilot too much. You need to pilot to learn the implementation, the application into your specific case. But you don't need to pilot whether the technology delivers, because that's already been pilot out there. So I would say that, and unfortunately, I have basically this answer for whatever technology we talk, that we are lacking the daring abilities to really go for the big impact choices that will make sure that when you are implementing a given technology, you are delivering the ROI that you expect. Nowadays, there are technologies to do that. There are methodologies out there. I'm not going to talk about it today, but there are methodologies and technologies that will help you to sort out what is a choice that the real technology of choice for the application you are in that will deliver value for your operation. And if you have a methodology to do that, I would invite anybody to start with that, because in many cases you see the pilots, and then you see the pet projects of the given leader that want to say that something. And I've been in events where people are delivering speeches about what they're doing on 4.0, and they proudly talk about this pilot, this implementation, this new AGV, this whatever it is, and they cannot answer the critical question of, is that really helping your business case, or is just helping you to feel good about doing something in digital? It's a question we don't ask neither, because it's a little bit of a tough questions to ask. It's not really very polite, but we know the answer to that question. In many cases, we are not prepared to answer the connection, to create a connection, and to drive the choice based on the connection. So ROI is happening in those places where we have the connection, but there is also a lot of blah, blah. There is more talk about the use of the technology than real use of the technology.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the people talk about the technology as a nirvana, but at the end, the process and change management needed to implement that technology is always sometimes it's even more difficult than just embracing a new technology. So I echo that 100%. Now, from the robotics and automation, and just connecting these to your passion for people. So let's talk safety specifically. When you look on these global roles and you look at about robotics and safety, so have you seen any specific cases that enable that safety, or have you seen barriers that limited the scaling of robotics from the safety perspective?
This is a great focused question on the safety front. And let me talk first from the generic standpoint of the general standpoint, overall robotics trends. Robots have been with us since the 20s, the 30s, and then 1920, 1930 with the Unimate was the name of the prototype of robots at that time. And in the 50s, we have robots available to do operations, to do certain type of operations. And and everybody was afraid of all robots will replace people. And today we still have a lot of people doing manufacturing operations and logistics operations, and robots still available. So what happened there? Well, is that the robots are bad? No, the robots are terrific, but it's again a fit for use, and it's also an investment. And in many cases, people don't go for it because the adoption or the capital investment required and the time for doing the projects and so on are in the middle. But robots certainly have a great possibility in the area of safety, in the area of many disaster situations and stuff like that, where instead of a person going inside a confined area or a area with high risk of chemicals and stuff like that, you can have a robot doing the operation. Unfortunately, I haven't seen enough of it. I have to confess I haven't seen enough of it, because people think more about the productivity of the operation and the safety of the operation with robots. Okay, so
that's why I went on that route, because I think I was wondering if there was an example that you could share on the safety side. But I agree with you. Most people, the way to justify the ROI of robotic is through productivity, right? So
basically, we know we can do. Imagine if we have robots to manage earthquake recovery of people the debris, okay, or things like that. There are amazing applications that are possible, and I'm sure that there are more than feasible, and there are available as well. The problem is that we are all. This is a problem we have, Luis, in general. People that lead supply chains, people that lead manufacturing and operations, and even engineering. What do? We design supply chains for stability. We don't design supply chains for instability.
Yeah.
We design our processes to be standard operating procedures in place, and that's how we manage. So when there is a noise in the system, we don't know what to do. It's a noise in the system,
Yeah,
and
you bring back a lot of memories, but you're absolutely right. So,
so because of that, we prefer to optimize what is already designed for stability and for ongoing. Don't even think enough about optionality, which is the new direction we should follow in supply chain management. It should be supply chains that count on multiple options to operate and to keep the service going. And but we rarely are really doing that, and we are designed for not doing that. We are designed to operate the same way every day. Standard operating procedures, no?
okay. So let me wrap this section on the manufacturing just by asking you, look into the future, 10 years from now. Which three technologies you think will be a significant catalyst for the next wave of manufacturing 5.0, if you want to call it? Which ones would you pick, and which ones you think are going to be the winners?
Uh, certainly analytics. All the area of analytics it will be very important, and it will play an increasing role. Because today we know the importance, we know how to use it, but we haven't used it extensively enough. So accelerating decision making, enabling option analysis for activities that you need to do preventively or during problematic situations or ongoing for improvements. Analytics will play an amazing role. But we need to learn a lot still. But to me, that is the number one of all of them. The second one I will call is anything that helps us to intercept, connect, and integrate the people part with the processes part and the technology part. So that interception needs to be enabled better. And there are many technologies that help us to get there. But as long as we do that integration and we improve in that integration, we will drive incredible improvements. I could call out other technologies, and I call out two technologies that are means to get to other things.
Okay.
I believe the other technologies that proliferate every day, and that we have more and more choices, are part of those exercises of combining your business requirements with your capabilities to make choices. So there will be an answer of the other technologies that are different depending on the business you are in and the situation you are in and the opportunities that you have. Do you understand your hidden costs or not? And if you don't understand it, are you making choices to drive that value extraction from the systems? And if that's a choice or priority for your business, then you are a technology that can solve that for you. So it would be too ambitious of me to be able to decide
Right.
that capability. But I know this interception is critical, and I know digital analytics becomes every day more and more important.
Excellent. Thanks for
Look
sharing.
at
That's very insightful. I appreciate it. So let's pivot. So you went through all this rich career on P&G and Kimberly, right? So and then a certain moment you said, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? I want to move from chief supply chain officer. I want to fund a company. What was the drive, Gustavo, in this transition from leading global supply chains to co-founding a company, a technology company? Share a little bit your experience on that journey, the decision making, how you got there.
Yeah, I wish it was as linear as you have
Uh,
described. As everything we've done in our careers, we sometimes we are in a room with 20 doors, and the room is dark, and you don't know which door to touch to open. No? I well, I had a long career in Procter and Gamble. I got to a point in Procter and Gamble where I didn't know what else to do. I wasn't going to be the next guy there because my dear friend was already there, and I basically wasn't excited about many other options around out there, and it was a time to decide to leave. And so it was a great thing that I leave. But let's say the last few years of my career, 2 3 years, I was in the deep thinking about what do I do when I leave. I couldn't imagine myself retiring from P&G, this beautiful company with such a great developmental process, and made me a leader and made me grow to the level of leadership positions globally, and et cetera, et cetera. Gave me opportunities that I would have never even dreamed about. And what do I do with all experiences on those learnings? And I profoundly thought about it, and I passed through, okay, I will do some consulting, so I pass knowledge to people. Oh no, I will teach, so I develop people, the youngsters, for the future. I was thinking deeply on these things. And I happened to meet two amazing guys, also ex-P&Gers, that I did not have the pleasure of meeting them when I was in P&G, and Vasilis Karamallegos and Luigi Matrone, who had started to develop a technology platform to drive manufacturing improvements through in the context of Industry 4.0. And I had a chance to talk to them. And in one of those conversations, Vasilis specifically told me, hey, Gustavo, all of these things that you did in Procter and Gamble, the last 5 years were amazing in manufacturing for the company, and for me and for us, because I was lucky enough to be one of the guys that designed the work processes of P&G in manufacturing. I saw the evolution, the implementation, and I saw the maturity. So when I left the company, at 90% of our plants were in the most mature level of performance based on the system that we had. And I was leaving the company, and I saw the genesis, the development, the implementation, the maturity. What a lucky man, no? And we had amazing results in productivity every year that surprised even us, that we target to a number and we got 20% more than that or 10% more than that every year. It was incredible. It's like when we started, we couldn't stop it anymore. And Vasilis, so how about if you do a similar impact, but globally across manufacturing globally, and across every region, every industry type? It was quite a challenging proposal of him, and I got really excited about the idea of bringing a little bit of my 2 cents of contribution to that journey. And I joined together with Vasilis and Luigi to co-found SmarterChains. And it's been a beautiful journey. It's amazing. The company is still in an early stage, and we are at this size in proportion. But we know that we're triggering a revolution on the way companies approach in manufacturing. The manufacturing industry approaches value creation opportunities. And so it's exciting every day. I feel very young, even though I serve based on age. I'm doing this journey and trying to discover new approaches that are going to get us ready for the fifth revolution for sure, but beyond that.
So let's go an example, because I happen to know your partners, and be through interaction with you, and only you're defining operational value intelligence as an anchor of how you're building the advice. So maybe an example for the audience about where you're seeing that value being trapped in the process, and how you go about trying to unravel that value for the companies.
It's a great question. It gets a little bit on how the methodology of our platform works, but trying to put it in a very simple way, because of course you can imagine it's a complex algorithm, but in general terms, there is value that you don't see day to day. It's like you walk by the plant and you see a lot of improvement opportunities, but there are a lot of things that you don't see, or that you don't have a chance to penetrate further because you are seeing the immediate needs. Let's say you have a line, you're walking along the line and you see there is a lot of oil on it. So there is obviously there is a source of contamination issue there. And you probably, in your role, you will act on it and you will make sure people address it and understand what's going on there, and they probably fix it. But maybe in a month's time, it's already, then again, you have the oil on the ground again. And what happened there? So we fixed a symptom, we band-aid a situation, but we didn't fix the root causes. We didn't go deep enough. But you don't see that in your cost reports, cost performance reports. You don't see that in balance sheets. You don't see that in the operational reports. You don't even see in the cost of oil that you're using in the plant. So this is what you call hidden cost. There is a hidden value that you should be able to extract. And I took a very simple example, okay? A very simple example, it's something that is almost obvious, but there is many more things like that. I don't know if you will believe me if I tell you that 30%, more or less, of the cost structure is a waste. And some people even get offended with that. Oh, you're telling me that I'm tossing away 30% of it? Yes, you are. There's an opportunity.
That does make sense, right? On the lean methodology, you're taking waste on the holistic view, right? From motion to all kinds of different ways. Yeah, and I think that's I don't fall off my chair.
Material, efforts, methods, engineering. You have about 30% that is a waste, that you can consider a waste. But of course, you cannot say that because of that I cut your budget 30%. No, that would be ignorance. Okay, but we can say, okay, what is this 30%? Can we identify it? And then can we identify it versus an ideal state that we can define or that we can believe is possible? And how much of that can I recover and why and how? So if you start answering those questions, and that's what our platform does, answer those questions to help you define a master plan of interventions to recover that money, to extract that savings. And it's not only money, it's throughput as well. Let's say you are in a business that is growing faster than capacity can be built. Okay, throughput opportunities are very important. Throughput losses are incredibly important. Let's say you are in pharma, where quality assurance and consistency of quality becomes paramount. And okay, what are the choices of technology that will make sure that the quality is assured in a consistent way and better than ever before, and without threatening the validation processes of the pharma industry, and exacerbating and supporting and delivering on the regulatory aspect of that. Those are costs that we don't see day in, day out, but they are there. And those are values, opportunities that if we work systematically on them and we create capabilities to drive them for our people, for our systems, for our processes, and for our technologies choices that we make, and we have a better opportunity to add value to the business plan and to the business model that we talked before.
But Gustavo, today with AI, all that is solved, right? So I'm just being cynical, right? So what is the biggest misconception leaders hold about AI in manufacturing?
Well, manufacturing is an interesting type of operation. Manufacturing is fragmented. Manufacturing is secretive because we grew up, especially people of our generation. I'm a little older than you. But people of our generation, my generation, we the secrets were in manufacturing. We are the secret sauce of success of our products in the marketplace, and this is true. But because of that, we created a culture of no sharing, no reapplying, no learning from other operations similar, or even within the same company, plants are competing for who does it better. No, I have my own method. I'm better than you, and stuff like that. So AI, of course, is we can call it one of the tools that could be used for knowledge transfer and acceleration of decision making and the definition of tactical movements. So all of these things can happen and can happen faster than ever before, but they still, I see AI as another technology to enable the organization to deliver the bigger task. It's like any other technology. Now, this technology changes in a more dramatic way certain things. For example, I've been talking about optionality a lot, supply chain optionality. And I believe with AI, we can enable the proliferation of options and the execution, evaluation of those options for feasibility. Now, the truth of the matter is that all of this is real, but are we doing it? No, we are not. We are just starting in manufacturing and supply chain. I believe this journey is really in infancy. And I made the example before about robots being around seriously in the 1950s. And we still, it's not that we have every operation with robots all across. So it will take some time. This technology has the ability to go faster, and it's proven that it's faster. There is some data and some interesting graphs that were published by, I don't remember, maybe it was Gardner, that shows incredible adoption versus all the technologies of the past. Is way faster than any other, but still, I would say still small. So the impact still to be seen. But AI, yes, AI will be a great enabler, but an enabler, not a replacement.
Absolutely. Thank Gustavo. So I think this is a perfect cue to get to the last section of our conversation. So we've been talking AI manufacturing, but all these impacts in the manufacturing floor impacts the future of workforce, right? And how workforce is evolving. So how do you see the role of this the human operator? How will it evolve in a world that is increasingly more automated? That's a fact. There's more AI-driven decision support. Which are how would the floor evolve? How would the workshop evolve?
This is a very important question that we have taken in the industry too much time to answer. We are, but if you look at, if you remember your days in operations, you might have a hard time to try to remember one occasion where people, the plant managers or the operators of your region, had they felt that they have more resources than they needed.
Never.
And, there is no plant manager that doesn't cry for more resources, no? So these technologies give us the opportunity to free up resources for the things that we are crying about. There are many others that we are crying about that are needed. So, for example, you can are people whose set of skills will change, and we need to, as leaders, we need to enable them that change. We cannot just pretend that they will know how to move to different technological platforms with no education and training and pampering work. We need to do some of that. If we don't do that, we are giving our backs to our people, and that is not a good leadership decision. So what are the new things people will do? I say people will innovate in work processes, will innovate in technology, will innovate in better solutions that we can proactively implement instead of reactively implement. They will create new programs that today we are lacking or we don't have significant resources behind, like ESG, for example. All this area that we know is so important and so critical, that we will work in the critical aspects of that that are very important and required. We will create more improvement projects, and still we need to run and make decisions on the operation itself, because technology will not replace totally. We still will need the sense of the institutional knowledge. We will still have the culture element of the operation that will be only possible with people. And I'm not saying that in the future we will not have substitutes for that. I don't know if there will be or not, but I see it more difficult than replacing the mechanics of the work, and it's more difficult to create a culture without people than the other way around. Culture is one of the most important strategies we leaders need to instill in our operations, because culture is a winning solution for many things. So we will not replace that. So that's the new role, but they will need to have new skills. There is a new set of skills required for high-performing work systems. And the inventory of skills has to change proactively, not reactively. If we start changing it reactively, we are losing people already, and we're leaving them behind. And we need to proactively analyze project for, and create the skill matrices that are required to win in the future, in this technological future.
Excellent, excellent. So, so let me ask you one last question on this section, so we can start converging. As operators, where should people begin if they want to accelerate their smart manufacturing process? Or for founders, what pitfalls do manufacturing tech entrepreneurs underestimate? So what piece of advice can you give specific to operators and founders on this journey?
I think operators, for example, I would probably say, don't be afraid of the technology. Let's embrace the change. Become the champion of it. But don't be naive neither. As in the early days of your career, when you became the expert of a given operation in the plant, you had to learn. But this is another time when you need to learn. And it's like everybody get excited when you buy a new car. And if you bought a car that has a lot of features and toys and little things and computers and stuff like that, very likely in 1 to 2 weeks, you know every little detail of that car. You know what button to touch for this, or touch to that. You know the car does this, the car does that. You know, and you learn that thing. With the same excitement of a new car, you should take the new technology in the plant and embrace it, learn it, become the expert of it. Start teaching your bosses how to use the technology. Start teaching the team. Start teaching the engineering team that you understand this technology and you really can enable growth and contribution of your operation with that technology. That will be a great thing for the operators. But for that, you need to be not afraid. Go for it. Make mistakes. Learn. Nobody knows more. The people that brought the technology to the plant don't know enough neither. You know better because you know the operation. So that would be my advice.
What about founders?
Founders, I think founders are, there is a lot of good work from the founder standpoint in bringing along solutions of problems that they really either perceive that exist or they really have enough data to support that those problems are there. That is amazing. But there is a little bit of a problem, in my opinion, that founders, we don't have a startup without a good product. No? So we work in the product a lot. And many times founders are, I will ask them to demonstrate ability to do other things other than the product. Like, for example, selling is even more important sometimes than a good design product. You want the product to be good, a product that delivers a promise and consistently delivers a promise and have the potential to really create traction out there and followers and people that want to buy. But you need to crack the message, especially if the technology is new. You need to crack the selling process for that given product. That's one of the tasks, the most difficult tasks. We creating new solutions. Many times we are technical people that know the solution. They know that this thing will address this opportunity, but we are not trained on the commercial aspect of selling a product, and there is a lack of that out there. And I would say many startups will fly higher and faster if we master that particular area of the innovation process. The other day you were asking me about the investors also.
Yes.
And this is great. I really think that if I were an investor, institutional investor, what I would look at is that is there really not only are you solving a problem, but is this technology or this innovation will build growth or not, financial growth. That's the only question we need to be answer for them. So I believe investors that have two things: the financial data to analyze for that, but the gut feeling. I mean, it has to check here. If it checks here, you most likely have a good thing in your hands. And
Absolutely. Is this technology fixing anything, right?
yeah, exactly. And there are different approaches to investment globally. And me being an American living in Europe, I see the difference dramatically. The approaches are totally different. One is more like a bank, and the other one is more like the innovator, pusher. I think these differences are easier to manage if we demonstrate to the investor the possibility of value creation growth through that intervention or through that technology.
Excellent, Gustavo. So let me do one last question just to close our conversation. So you spent your career creating progress. You shared your experiences today, some of them inside global enterprises, building new technologies. So as you look ahead, what is the momentum you're most intentional at your point in career, point in life about sustaining? Whether it's personal, work, anything. What is most important for you that you're pushing that momentum forward?
It's a great opportunity that you're giving to me to talk about this because it's high on my list. I put every day of my life passion, drive, action in transferring experience. Transfer experience to even to peers, to students that I teach, enterprises that I support, advisory boards I sit in, transferring experience. And I don't call it knowledge, please note this. I'm not saying transferring knowledge. I'm saying transferring experiences because experience will be more accepted than knowledge. Knowledge might be like patronizing people or teaching, giving a lesson, but experiences give you the opportunity to think through the experience and learn something out of it, because your experience will be different. It's always going to be different. So I use a lot of time on that, and I have passion for it. The second thing is I wish I have many years in front of me so I can see supply chain really becoming a more purpose-driven function of the enterprise and a more strategic player as well. And I define that as the following. I believe the purpose of a supply chain is, yes, certainly we will move things from A to B. We will deliver products and services to people that need it at the moment they need it. at the right cost, price, quality, all of that we talk every day. But I think the most important is that we understand that supply chain management, operations like manufacturing in general, they have a higher level purpose, which is create prosperity, bring prosperity to life. In fact, I believe you know that I'm writing a book that discusses exactly that. I'm writing a book on the area of in pursuit of prosperity is the name of the book. In pursuit of prosperity, a supply chain mandate. And the idea is to, I mean, I might change the title in 2 months, but that's how I'm thinking right now. So, but the idea is to bring to the table the discussion of a higher level purpose for supply chain management and operations, manufacturing operations, being it prosperity, and second, influence the elevation of the function into a strategic level. Which I think is very important. So I'm trying to see how do I recommend changes in the way we legislate for these type of things, international trade and operations in general. How do we teach supply chain management and operations, and how do we practitioners we play the game. So we elevate this to strategic, and we instill the knowledge and the idea that supply chains are there to drive and procure prosperity.
Excellent. Gustavo, thank you for sharing your experience. Your clarity, your vision for the future of supply chain manufacturing are definitely lots of knowledge of wisdom for the audience. Your perspective from leading global operations to building next generation technology is exactly what my audience and the community gets by hearing this type of podcast. I feel I'd be remiss if I don't try to summarize. There were so many good insights. So I'm going to share with you now my learnings from this conversation. So first, you lead with people, you lead with mastering your business, you lead with being technical master of your function, and you lead with yourself. You also focus on technologies that create value through analytics or end-to-end platforms. You also talk about innovation and culture as being paramount in the way you think and operate. And last but not least, you shared about the strategic value of, a point in career where you're sharing your experiences and you're trying to live with prosperity, making the supply chain function a better one and transferring that knowledge to the next generation. So my wholehearted thanks for you to join us. I think there was an excellent conversation. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on the Momentum Flow. If this conversation spark ideas or challenge your thinking, subscribe and share with someone in your network who's driving transformation. Until next time, stay curious, stay adaptive, and keep the momentum flow going. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luis, and everybody.